Hello? Anyone there? No? Alright, perfect. Well, we are back, still in Shulva, the Sanctum City, and we're going to be continuing with the Crown of the Sunken King DLC. I kind of want to see how much further we can get in one video here. I wanted to keep these under 20 minutes, but it looks like this one's going to be a bit over. Oh, and this is all post-commentary this time around, so basically I'm just adding more and more bits of the video as we go to this one. So where it is right now, we're at 21, 22 minutes, something like that. Anyway, we're just going to see how far we can get this time before it stops being interesting. So, to start things off, we're going into one of the rooms that I was absolutely dreading. This is some kind of disgusting insect-filled egg chamber. As you can see, it's clearly infested with something. These huge bulbous egg sac things, when you break them, they release acid. So if you let them touch any part of your armor or your weapon, they're going to, as you can see right there, and if I could just get this swing, there we go, they're going to degrade your equipment very, very fast. So it's a good idea to have some repair powder on hand. I'm trying to think, if you've gotten to Dranglaic Castle before you do this, I believe you can just keep purchasing it from the merchant in there. Yeah, otherwise the repair sorcery might be a good idea to have in here. Or you can just completely bypass some of these rooms altogether, or just ignore them entirely. It's really not a bad option. Or, you know, just do the smart thing and range the egg sacs from a good distance away. Now, these bugs are all over the place in here. Not just in this room, but in, like, all throughout the rest of the DLC. They're annoying, to say the least. Their basic attack pattern isn't anything particularly special, but they have one move where they will surround themselves with a cloud of acid that stays on them for quite a while. And then they have another move that they usually follow that up with, where they actually take to the air and fly straight at you, with said cloud of acid trailing them. And that combination can get pretty devastating, at least to your equipment, even if you don't take a particularly large amount of damage from it. Again, this is on New Game Plus, so the damage I'm taking here is considerably more than what you'll take in the regular version. Yeah, so as you can see, I finally started to wisen up and just take out the egg sacs from a little ways away. Hitting that one bug in there seems to alert most of the other ones in the room that you're here, and there is the acid cloud attack I was talking about. Thankfully it goes away once they die, so if you can kill them fast enough, it's not actually a factor that you have to worry about. However, missing and overshooting will actually land you straight in the cloud, so try to avoid doing what I just did there. So yeah, like I said, expect to see plenty of those throughout the rest of the DLC. Now, as far as where this actually puts us, there really wasn't too much reason to come up here in the long run. Basically, it's the one way to escape from this tower, which is what I figured out partway through this. The item you get there is just another one of those temporary stat boosts. So yeah, if you wander in there, the only way out is to go through the entire thing, and there's really no reason to go in there to begin with. Now, when I got to this part here, there's a branching path which gives you like 3 different options of where you can go next, and I just could not make up my mind, so we're going down to start with, and we are going to promptly find 2 of these Sanctum soldiers just sitting there waiting for us with maces. So, as always, the best way to deal with these guys is to go for the back. They are not good at defending themselves themselves from backstabs. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with the way I'm talking lately. I am messing up very simple words for some reason. Anyway, back to this. They don't defend themselves well from backstabs, and it gives you a huge advantage if you can just roll behind them. Now what we're looking at here is a small chasm that is filled with about 4 of these elevator platforms. Some of them have items on them, like I think this one might. Yes, this one does. However, not all of them do, and even the ones that do, not all of them have a way back off of them once you're on, which is something I realized a little too late here, once I jumped onto this one without having first looked for a way to get off. I was hoping that's what this thing did, but as it would happen, nope. That moves the one next to it. So yeah, not too helpful there. Now if you hear some banging going on in the background here, my screen is having some serious trouble keeping up with the video for some reason. Every time the video starts up, it just goes completely insane with all these horizontal lines going across it. There's probably some cable or something loose in the back, but for right now, smacking the top of the screen seems to calm it back down for at least a few seconds. Okay, so we escaped from there, and are heading back down here, but taking a different path this time. Well, same path, but we're taking a little detour first to pick up whatever this was. Some bolts. I don't think I'm going to in this video, but probably next time. I'm going to switch to crossbow instead. I like this bow and all. It's just I can get a lot more efficiency out of the crossbow. I've got almost 1,000 unused bolts in here that I can put to good use. And unfortunately, because this is New Game Plus and I went pretty much straight here after the Rotten, I haven't really unlocked too many other sources of good ranged ammunition yet. So yeah, probably not this time like I said, but next time I'm going to try to upgrade one of my crossbows and put that to good use. Now, let's see. So, right here, again, this spot, nothing you can do with it just yet, but eventually that is going to become a useful little, a very useful little platform for you to land on. And, we're going to desperately try not to do what that guy just did. Okay, well, that was easy. Let's take a little more advice from that one that just fell in there, and use the stairs instead. Here you see another one of these elevators, which we still cannot activate, but I'm sure we'll get to it eventually. Yeah, figured it was worth a try, but, you know, it'll open up at some point or another. We have a bridge with 2 Sanctum soldiers that were standing on it, and then Sin came through and just completely incinerated them both. So, thanks, buddy. That time, I don't know if you guys saw it the first time we got a look at him, but just now when he was flying through, I did notice he's got some kind of spear or lance driven into him, and I'm guessing we're going to find out more about that later, but just from what I've seen from some of the item descriptions and stuff, that is most likely Sir Jorg, or Sir Yor, however you want to say it, his spear, and like I said, we'll get into that more later on, but one of the things I really like about this DLC is there is a nice self-contained story within it, and Sir Yor and his Order of Knights play heavily into that. And I just absolutely love that. Kind of the same way that some of the Artorias of the Abyss DLC worked out, where it was its own little self-contained story with its own characters, even though you heard about some of them earlier on in the game. this takes it a step further, where it's characters you've never heard of, and their entire story gets fleshed out right in here. So, here we have a door that we can't actually open yet. We'll get the key for that eventually. But for now, we're going to go down here and take a look at what might be my favorite enemy in this entire DLC. Just because of how awesome the whole idea behind it is. The design is nothing particularly special. It's another humanoid knight. But the way that it works, like the actual mechanic for how it exists, is just awesome. So, we're going to go down here. I am stupidly still not catching on to what's going on here. So I'm just going to walk straight in. And like an idiot, I break a jar, alerting this new type of enemy, the Sanctum Knight, that I'm here. Essentially, when you first enter and when you first encounter them, they're, I guess you could say, ghosts. They're completely incorporeal. You can't touch them unless you're using some kind of elemental attack, and even then it does close to nothing. So what you have to do is destroy their phylacteries, which is essentially a suit of armor that their soul is connected to. I can't tell if it actually has the body in it. I think it's just the armor, though, to the best of my knowledge. And that's what's sitting on those little pedestals there. So you can see, once we destroy the armor, they come back into existing in a physical form, and we can destroy them. And after that point, they're essentially the same as any other enemy in here. They are very bad at defending their backs. So you can get an easy backstab on them if you are not completely inept at getting a backstab like I was just now. However, their entire moveset is just awesome to watch. Especially, like, I'm a big fan of those backstep attacks, and they have one of the coolest in the entire game, where they just jump backwards, put both their swords out to the side, and launch themselves at you. And you'll be able to use that to your advantage a little later on in this area. But for now, it's just a cool thing to see them use against you. Yep, there it is. And, yeah, it does give you a nice open shot at their back when they're trying to recover from that. They also have that nice combo attack that you saw me get killed by a minute ago. So, yeah, that might be my favorite new enemy in this entire DLC. Okay, so in here we have some interesting little items. Very useful. I keep, for some reason, expecting at least one of these things to be a mimic, and I think I'm probably going to do that on just about every chest for the entire rest of this DLC until we eventually get a mimic, which I'm not sure we will. But I kind of want there to be one just so that my paranoia pays off at some point in here. But yeah, so far, no mimics. And then this is the chest that kind of confused me. So I don't know why this item is in here, but it is. Or no, wait, maybe it was this one. Yeah, so it was that other chest. It was the Katarina helm, which was, you know, the onion helm from Dark Souls 1. I'm not sure why it's here, why it's just the helm and not the rest of the armor. I'm pretty sure Sigmar never made it this far into the world and was nowhere near old enough to have survived long enough to see anything like this, so I don't know how much longer the Katarina Knights existed after his death, but apparently some of their armor made it to Shulva somehow. So anyway, that's one for the people making lore videos to get on, because I have no idea why it's there. In here we've got, well, you can pretty much figure out what it is just from looking at it, but basically more Sanctum soldiers, but this time they're just emanating poison off them to the point where you can't even get near them without getting poison buildup. Thankfully, and I'm not entirely sure what's doing it, but something is keeping me from... Something's raising my poison resistance by a bit, and I'm not sure what piece of armor it is, but I'm kind of thankful for it, because so far I haven't actually been too horribly poisoned yet throughout this entire DLC, like to the point that I'm actually up at, not just including what's in video form so far. Here we have a fun little trap. Fires a whole bunch of arrows into you when you step on that raised tile there. I think I only fall for it that one time, and from here on out I'm going to try to use that to my advantage to kind of get a little extra damage on these guys. I'm trying to think... Yeah, that one killed me. But, yeah, I'm trying to think about it, and I'm pretty sure it does enough damage to stagger them if they get hit by enough of those attacks. I kind of want to take a second just to see... I think it's 7 darts that come out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... No. I'm pretty sure it's 7. It's 7 or 8. Yeah, so try not to get hit by that. What we have down here is a Sanctum Priestess. You can sort of think of them as a much less effective version of the Milfinitos. They were here to essentially sing to, well, sing to Sin to keep him asleep for longer. Their item... The flavor text on their items mentions that it probably had no real effect on him. He probably never even heard the songs. Or even if he did, he probably didn't care. But, yeah. Basically, that's the purpose they served, and then after he just threw up poison all over the entire city, they were kind of, horribly affected by it. So, yeah, we're gonna run into more of them later on in here. Oop, arrow trap. That one did take me entirely by surprise. I just got a really, really lucky roll out of it is all. So, for some reason I thought it would be a good idea to try ranging this guy, and as you can see, that didn't go so well, so I'm just going to speed through that part, and we'll get to the actual fight here. Now, these lance guys, it does not take much at all to block their attack from, well, pretty much any attack from their lance. My shield has almost no stability, and yet you can stop one of them from charging at you just by holding it up. I'm not sure what it is about that lance that's so flimsy, but, I mean, don't get me wrong, it does a ton of damage if you let it hit you, but if you just hold up your shield, you can pretty much just stop them in their tracks completely, even if it's not a 100% physical blocking shield. So we're not really going to worry about this guy too much. He's not actually a threat, as far as I can tell. If you just keep stepping on this, it'll eventually get to this one, where you have the big circle on the bottom and a little circle on top, so you can go through the door. I was kind of hoping you could find some way to jump back up onto there, but no, you're trapped in here once you're down here. So, you go through here, and you get into these very cramped little hallways. This is going to be a recurring theme throughout most of the little stepped pyramids that we go into in here. The hallways within them are incredibly tight. Thankfully, they don't really throw too many enemies at you once you're in here, though. The worst you have to worry about usually are those bugs again. This is a door. It will open eventually, but not from this side. This is sort of a door. It is already wide open. You just have to look up, which I forgot to do there. And it's an exit for a later area in this pyramid. And we're going to throw some of that stuff on, so that should repair my sword back up to normal. Here we have a hole, which I forgot to rate this guy's message, but I really wish I had now, because otherwise I probably would have just walked right into that. It's a very short drop, but it leads to some areas that you want to be a little prepared for, and this isn't really an area that you want to skip. You want to go through this part, because there's some very interesting treasure waiting for you at the end. So this is where the ranged attacks are really necessary. Up until now you could have gotten by just using melee really effectively. Right there you really need something ranged in order to do that, and they drop plenty of ranged equipment all around here for you to pick up. Throwing knives, those magic bolts back there that we got. Again, I totally missed the backstab, but who cares, we're just going to power through that one instead. And, yeah, basically, not much else to do in here. There is pretty much only one way to go from here, but there's, one of my favorite traps in the entire DLC, and maybe the entire game, is waiting for us right up ahead here. And I, unfortunately, haven't even noticed it yet. Still haven't noticed it. It is literally staring us in the face here, and yet I still haven't noticed it. Alright, just backstab. Nope, no backstab. Alright, we'll just kill you. Let's see. Okay. Now I'm noticing it. So, do you guys see what activated it? Because thanks to my absurdly long cape, I totally did not. Well, we'll come back to this next time, but let me just say that is easily one of my favorite traps in the game.